Ohne Willers wären wir gar nicht hier.
Welcome to RBLE Global Tracks, Leipzig's very first RB Leipzig podcast in English. And this podcast is brought to you by your hosts, Richard and Mario. And amongst us, we are season ticket holders, passionate supporters, and really not so neutral local pundits. And both of us have been following Leipzig football since our childhood days. So if you want to hear about RB Leipzig, capture the mood of the fans in the city, and if you like and wish to go beyond numbers and statistics, you're in the right place. We're delighted to welcome you on board. Let's go and auf geht's, Leipziger Jungs. And I'm actually very delighted to have Richard here today, because you must know that his voice almost gave up on him last night during the Champions League match. Richard, how are you today?
Thanks, Mario. I'm sorry to any listeners. I would like to apologize for my rough voice this evening, but as
Heavy
you said,
drinking.
I have no idea where this come from. But you said it yesterday. So you have to imagine, we both were in the stadium in the stands, and every time I wanted to talk to Mario, I had to put on my cell phone and write it in a message and show him, because I wasn't plain and simple not able to speak. So I will give my best this evening.
We really all appreciate that, and thank you that you could make. But to be honest, last night you sounded so much worse. So, what are we going to talk about today, Richard? Can you enlighten us?
Okay, yeah, we're doing a little recap of our 3-1 victory yesterday night over at Belgrade. Then there was some action going on in the halftime. There was some old men down in the infield and was introduced as some former LBL players. We will talk about that case. And
a
finally,
party train, I understand. A party train, not to miss the party train.
I will talk about that. And finally, we will take a short preview of the upcoming Bundesliga encounter against EffZeh Kölle.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Richard. Let's have a quick look at the Belgrade encounter last night. And if I may, I'd like to start because the setting was different than usual. Because before the game started, 1 or 2 days before the game went ahead, there were articles about increased police presence for this game. And usually, RB Leipzig has a setting which is really secure, very family friendly, and there's little trouble going on really. But the reputation of Belgrade supporters was that there are about 16 to 1800 supporters who were looking for violence and were looking for trouble, and the police in Leipzig was supported by other police from the surrounding counties, Bundesländer, and they had about 1,000 troops or 1,000 people on the ground to oversee the game. There was a chopper in operation at all times, and Belgrade fans, supporters would gather in the city center, or I would say about a kilometer away from the stadium, and they would march down one of the main roads, the Janallee, using a lot of pyro. I don't know what's that in English. Pyro, a lot of lightning and a lot of smoke going up. And it was quite forceful because that road is quite, well, it is a main road, but still narrow, and it echoes a lot. So that sounds quite powerful. It was dark, it was rainy, and I believe they would go past a supermarket in the street as well, and there were reports that quite a bit of alcohol was stolen. And I think you were in the supermarket as well, Richard, in that Konsum.
Yeah, I was there. I've been there, but I'm not sure if this was this supermarket. But as you mentioned it, this is a supermarket where I usually come by when I walk to the stadium. The last game before the match against Man City, like an hour or 45 minutes before the game, there were lots of RBL supporters. talking to each other, singing, and go buying some beer. And this time, this store was literally empty. So it was me and 3 Belgrade supporters who bought some beer and cigarettes, and nobody else. And I was wondering, is there a game tonight or what? Yeah, it was really strange.
I can echo this feeling because we were taking a different tour to the stadium. We were walking. I was walking along with my neighbor Sina and her husband Stefan, and we did go to the game quite early because we were told there are quite a few extra checks, and they were actually checking and had checkpoints around the roads leading into Leipzig as well, starting in the afternoon. So there were quite a few tailbacks as well. So we decided to walk to the Red Bull Arena, and it was quite empty. It felt quite empty. It was dark, it was rainy, it was cold. It was a subdued atmosphere. Not everybody would necessarily wear their RB Leipzig kit, or they might wear a jacket over it and then take it off as they get closer to the stadium. So it was a lot different from the usual atmosphere that we're used to, where you feel quite safe and where you just go to a football game. You can take your kids and your family. But once I was in the stadium, I did see groups of police with riot gear, actually, helmets off though. And that was a strange sight, but on the other hand, it was quite reassuring. The away supporters had their own section, but around it there were quite a few Belgrade supporters as well, and on the other side as well, and they would mix with RB Leipzig supporters as well, as they got last minute tickets. But generally, and that was my impression, there was no trouble inside the stadium, apart from the fact, and that's what I read on X Twitter today, that Belgrade supporters were fighting amongst each other for a little bit before the game. To be honest, I didn't pick up on that. I was busy chatting and drinking beer. So I'm so sorry I got distracted. But 3,500 supporters, nice group, and their chants were actually, I don't know what they said, if they insulted us, but their chants were really good. They were singing all the time. They were much noisier, take that City fans, much noisier than the City fans, and they were losing, guys. So that was similar to when we get supporters from Union Berlin. Okay, they show up in a higher number, and they are more aggressive in German. But all in all, I think that was an excellent atmosphere. They behaved okay. They had a little bit of stuff going on in their section as well during the game, but nothing majorly over dramatic, to be honest. No fireworks, things that we've seen by Eintracht supporters. So at the end of the day, it was surprisingly calm. Apart, I guess, from 2 Belgrade supporters who weren't happy with the drinks and they were checking out their mugs. And, well, drew the attention of police officers and security people, and they were escorted off the premises. So that was quite interesting to see. Richard, I think you felt quite similar, didn't you?
Yeah, I'm totally agreeing with you, because even when I was alone on the road, when I walked to the stadium, and there was a handful of Belgrade fans here and a handful Red Star supporters on the other side, I never felt unsafe. And even right in front of the stadium doors, there were groups of Belgrade supporters mixing up with RBL supporters, and everything was just fine.
Oh, that's good. But getting now talking about the game now a little bit. When the game started, in the first 20 to 25 minutes, I remembered a lot of the things you said in the last episode. Number 33 was obviously the weak point, and I think you saw this when the first goal was scored. And my impression was, and I'm sorry if I come across as arrogant, I thought, oh, Darmstadt was much tougher, and we should be cruising, and we should be up 3-0 by halftime. So felt really comfortable in the first 20 to 25 minutes, but all of a sudden, the whole thing shifted a little bit. And why do you think that was, Richard? It seemed like we lost control even the first half already, or do you disagree?
No, I'm agreeing with that point, because in my opinion, we tried to move the ball around on short passes a little bit too often, especially excuse me, especially when Giannis was involved. So we invited literally Belgrade to fight into the game. Luckily, the penalty was taken off the board after the VAR check, because if that penalty would have held up and Belgrade would have scored in that case, I think we would have seen a whole more uncomfortable evening than we actually saw.
I agree, and that was a feeling I had as well. It could have been a tipping point. And from all this domination that we had before, not too much was left, and was sort of tailing towards like a Wiesbaden game, the game that we had at Wiesbaden, where all of a sudden we made the opponent be stronger. But I think what was really the difference was their substitutions in the second half. You pointed that out. As soon as those players came on, I had no idea who was coming on anyway. But I just remember the numbers, number 30, 22, and 10. They made a huge difference, didn't they, Richard?
Absolutely. I was really not surprised, but impressed what number 30, Usman Bukhari, was able to show. He played out close to man several times on his right side. It was impressive. And he could do anything with the ball. He could run, pass, and shooting. Okay, he couldn't be better in that department, but it was clearly upside in quality. Then number, I don't know, excuse me, I think number 14 was taken off for number 30, and yeah, that was a huge upgrade. And later the game came 22, Majatovic, which a player we haven't talked about in our preview, but I had him in my mind when I saw some games from Red Star in my preparation of our last podcast. So I knew this is a strong striker too. And finally, number 10, Katai came on, who was also injured for a longer time. So all in all, if Belgrade will have these players that came along in the second half, will if they can bring them into the show from the very beginning in our rematch early in November, then yes, with this more quality squad and with the loudness of the fans, with like 10 or 12 times, this is going to be a much harder thing and harder not to crack.
I agree. Hopefully Timo Werner won't get dizzy, but I think it's a much more mature team now. But it's going to be tough. It's not going to be an easy ride. We could qualify with another win. We could actually qualify for the last 16 and go through quite early. But that's in 2 weeks. I think a lot of it will happen in the meantime. It's just that Xavi strike was excellent. I thought he had one of the better games last night, and he scored his first Champions League goal. I didn't realize. And when he was jumping on top of those advertisement thingies, don't know what that is in English. I was really hoping that he wouldn't injure himself in the process, because he was trying to keep his balance. I thought, hey, if you get injured now, come on. That wouldn't have been nice. Also, I think good signs from Dani Olmo. You could really see he made a lot of a difference. And when we walked back, people started griping about Timo Werner again. And Timo Werner, I think he's really trying, and he made a really positive impact. Don't forget, before the third goal and the decisive goal, he actually ran down the field on the left-hand side and got a corner kick, which then led to this ping-pong third goal. So I hope he gets more time to play. I'm not sure if he should be there from the start, from the beginning in the starting 11, but he needs to get back into it. And he's clearly trying to. He's finding. He's got the qualities. He still has the pace. So I had a slight discussion with one of RB supporters, and I told him, hey, did you see his action before the third goal? And he said, well, it was on the loo. So I said, well, you missed it. You got no leg to stand on, mate. Also, Baumgartner, I think, did a good job when he came on. But all in all, I think all the puzzles do not fit yet, Richard. Or do you think the team is a good gelled and oiled machine?
No, clearly not. You nailed it. We can, excuse me, we could like stick this together in a simple truth. And this goes like, we got great individual players, but there's still lack in cohesion between the different parts of the team. So yeah, that's basically my takeaway from that match.
Wonderful. To be honest, I don't have a key takeaway. I just did enjoy it in the end. And I'm just glad they're getting the results. They're not playing very badly at all, playing quite well. But you can feel that there is huge potential there. But the biggest kick I got out of the last night's game is halftime, when they started bringing on these old player and this old coach, Mr. Zorniger, and he started talking about the year 2013. And your eyes were lighting up. You tried to tell me something with your non-existing voice, which sounded like and was too much to type in. So please tell me everything you wanted to tell me yesterday.
Okay, I will try at least because you may hear it. My voice starting to dismiss. So yeah, it was the players from the 2012-2013 campaign that were finally able to bring us into the third league. So and our stadium speaker Tim Tölke talked about the bottleneck. Did you get that? He talked about bottleneck in Regionalliga.
Can I briefly explain that maybe? Because this has been bugging me ever since they started. You know, German football, we have 3 professional leagues, 3 tiers. The Erste Bundesliga, Zweite, and the Third Bundesliga. And these are, let's say, nationwide leagues. And below that, you have regional leagues, like a conference. So if you move up from a conference league to the 3rd tier, this is a huge step. That is really significant. But in the conference, in those leagues, not every champion gets automatic promotion. So the champions of the conference league, Regionalliga in our area, usually have to go through playoffs. They play the champion of another league. These is one leg, and then there's another leg, and the winner out of that, similar to the cup final, to the cup games. And so you could win your league convincingly, but then bottle those 2 games, and there you go, starting from scratch. So this is a really significant step. And in 2013, Richard, that was my first game that I watched for at RB Leipzig. That was the first leg of those 2 games when they won 2-0, and I was impressed that there was 26,000 people. But I thought the football was dreadful. It was really dreadful, non-entertaining whatsoever. But I understand you actually have been around since 2009. I mean, you have been around longer, but you've been supporting RB Leipzig since 2009.
And I attended the first leg game as well. And as I remember, yeah, because it was not 26. I think that even were 30,000 people in the stadium, which was a record for the 4th league back today. So congratulations, you were a record holder as well as I was.
Oh, thank you very much.
Okay, but yeah, I think I don't know how much we were in that second leg in the away game at Lotte, but there was a chartered train, a special train, which consists of 14 coaches and the locomotive, of course. And the train was off to Lotte, but since Lotte don't get a station, the train traveled to Langerich. Okay.
I have no idea where both of these places are. They're somewhere out in the sticks, to be honest.
Yeah, if you don't push the brakes hard enough in front of Lotte, you're in like the Netherlands. Okay. But yeah, so we had to get off the train. But the first funny thing was that the train attendant called over the train radio that we were not allowed to leave the coaches in the last but one coach, because the train was too long to fit in its whole length to the platform. So we had to get off out of the first 12 coaches, and then could walk into shuttle buses and would drive us to, I don't know, last 10 or 20 kilometers to the Lotte Stadium. And so I think it was around 1,500, maybe even 2,000 Leipzig supporters in that away game. But that game went horribly wrong in the first half. In the second, it wasn't get better because I think after 20 or 24 minutes, Lotte scored a 1-0. And I do remember, as if it was yesterday, that Tobias Willers, who scored the goal, uh, um, party his skull right in front of the Leipzig supporters in a very arrogant way, and almost on their toes, on the fence, and wanted to talk to him, I guess, and wanted to explain him that this is no proper behavior.
In a very calm way.
In a very calm way, yeah.
Calm and collective.
And we couldn't make it. And as the time was nearly up, Lotte finally scored it 2-0 in the 90 in the added time, and I think it was 90+4 or something like that. And we all thought, oh no, it can't be the truth. This cannot be. We're in the third year in a row in the Regionalliga, and we beat them 2-0, and we are the club with the better individual quality, with a multi-million sponsor in the background, and we finally are taken off this race by Sportfreunde Lotte. This cannot happen. But this feeling luckily didn't last long, because the same Tobias Willers that scored the early lead for Lotte scored that an own goal in the early into the extra time. And back these days, the away goal rule was in force. So with this 2-1, or with this 1-2 out of the side of RBL, that was basically over, because they didn't have the stamina and the quality to score 2 more goals in that final 25 minutes. And with Tobias Willers scored his own goal, I think the same day or maybe a few days later, or on the train, I don't know, the fans developed a chant, and that goes like, "Ohne Willers wären wir gar nicht hier." What actually means that without Willers, we wouldn't be here, so we wouldn't be in the third league. And another funny part of this story is that Tobias Willers transferred after that season to RBL.
I know.
and played for us in the third league.
Just to make sure he doesn't do that stuff again.
Yeah. And as far as I remember, he never ever scored an own goal again. Yeah, and then we went back to the buses that brought us to the station in Langerich, and was quite euphorized and happy to. We're looking really forward to the 6-hour home drive in a train, because it wasn't only a train; it was a party train. So that means that it was one coach with a dance floor and even a bar and a DJ. And so, yeah, every now and then there was some little space in that coach, and you can go dancing or chatting with friends or do whatever. And shortly after we departed from Langerich, there were rumors on the train. There were rumors, hey, the team will join us. The team will come onto the train. And I could, honestly, I didn't take that because no way that this could ever happen, because these are professional football players. They want to go home. They want to celebrate this huge victory. But as far as I remember, I don't know, maybe 15, 20 minutes after we started from Langerich, the train stopped somewhere out of nowhere. I don't know, in the prairie. I don't know where. In the middle, literally in the middle of nowhere, with a little station, a very short platform. And then we looked out of the window and actually saw the bus, the team bus. And then the whole team, the players, the coaches, the staff entered the train. Of course, they had their own coach with their own cabins. And they were celebrating for themselves for like, I don't know, 30 minutes, 60 minutes. But after that time, the whole team, all the players started to walk along across the train. And you can take autographs, you could make photos. They were dancing with the fans, they were chanting with the fans in the party wagon, and they were all over the place in that whole train. And oh my gosh, I got a really intense feeling when I think about it.
Goosebumps.
And goosebumps. Yeah, goosebumps when I talk about that. Thank you, Mario.
In the house.
So yeah, that was my connection to those old men that were presented at halftime. Our 2013 heroes that brought us to professional football.
Well, I'm glad you told me everything now, so thank you. But I could really tell your face was lighting up. You're like, old memories, or going back to 2013. And but even by that time, when you started watching the team, supporting it since the beginning, you would have gone through 2 lower tiers already. So that was really, really significant point. And I kind of started going to RB Leipzig games when I came to Leipzig. And then I was there when everything happened. Next year we would go all the way through to the second tier. So beautiful. Thanks for sharing this. This is really, really good. And I remember those pictures as well. Some which you showed me last night. So you had a really good time. Great memories. So how do we get the link now to Saturday's game? Tradition, huh?
Introducing our next opponent, their ignorant check.
EffZeh Kölle. Lots of tradition, bit of carnival, bit of party. Kölle I love. But Saturday night, 6:30. We're going to be playing the EffZeh Kölle. And if you had asked me 2 weeks ago, I would have thought, easy number. But last week, they had a pretty good performance playing Borussia Mönchengladbach. So what happened there?
They were rewarded with 2 penalties, and they scored in 2 penalties.
They were lucky. You tell me they were lucky.
No, but I'm trying to tell you that if you get penalties and convert on those, it's much easier to win games, right?
We should have remembered that when we played another club. Okay, yeah. It's a touchy subject. Let's not dwell on it.
But okay, I watched some games from EffZeh Kölle in the last several days, and I don't have a real idea why they had such a rough start into the season. Because, in my opinion, they never played really bad. Okay, they won the first game in the cup against Osnabrück and needed extra time for that, by the way, and then lost 2 games, then had a draw, and then lost 4 in a row before, you mentioned it, finally won their first against Mönchengladbach. And they don't, in my opinion, they don't have a real weakness, or a real weak link, weak player which you can exploit, which you can attack on purpose. They are struggling to score goals. So if you go into the numbers and the deeper stats, you will recognize that they have almost our stats in X goals and X assists and shots on target and shots in general. But what are really, really shitty is goals per shot. So we score on every 5th shot when they score on every 25th.
And,
oh God! And yeah,
but they have so many. So they have so many attempts.
Yeah, they got a really, really problem. They ain't got a, in German we would say Knipser. I don't know if there's an English word for that. So, and like an Alan Shearer, or a Wayne Rooney, who could, or maybe better Michael Owen. So Michael Owen, you can always pass the ball, he always scores. And they don't have such a player. They have EffZeh Kölle.
We know
which is known by Real supporters because he played for us a few years. But EffZeh Kölle is a journeyman in the Bundesliga, and in my opinion, never could really settle down somewhere. So that's for a reason. And Luca Waldschmidt. Luca Waldschmidt, in my opinion, is a very talented player. Has a strong shot and shoots with his left foot, preferred, but also can score with his right. But actually, I don't know why, but he isn't able to show it. So, so basically they only scored 7 goals so far, and 3 of them came by penalties, and all of them were scored by Florian Kainz, and then 2 goals by Selke and 2 by Waldschmidt in the first 8 games. And it isn't really much.
That's not much.
But on the other hand side, they only conceded 15 goals. Okay, so now 15 goals is is not less, actually. But if you look at the table and look where they are in 16th place, and then look at the teams around them, they all conceded 20 or 22 or even more. So I expect a really a tight game, and we cannot imagine, we cannot expect from our team to work wonders here. So we have to stay focused as always. We have to be efficient as always. But in the end, I expect a 1-0 or maybe even a 1-1 if things don't develop.
Yeah. I kind of feel that as well. It's just like last year. That was similar, similar tight and difficult game, and I think it was a 1-1 draw. So, any predictions regarding the starting 11? You feel up for that for tonight?
I think maybe Campbell should get a rest.
Okay.
Yeah, because he was clearly out of, I don't know, he wasn't in best shape yesterday night.
Yeah.
And even caused the penalty against the Darmstadt game. Maybe he's a little bit overplayed. So I wouldn't change our defense. I wouldn't change the goalkeeper. I would send out Schlager, of course, because in my opinion he was the best, our best player besides our strikers and then Xavi yesterday. So Schlager and Baumgartner. Schlager and Haidara in the defensive midfield.
Okay.
Maybe Baumgartner should get a chance to show what he's able to do from the beginning, alongside Xavi. And yeah, Paulsen was quite okay, and we always have to rely on Openda.
Yeah, but Openda seems to me he's kind of getting tired after 60, 70 minutes. Or maybe is that a fair observation, or am I just seeing things?
Maybe no. I didn't. I have to admit, I didn't concentrate on that.
Okay, but I'm going to ask you this question every week now. So, what about our friend Timo? When we're going to have his breakthrough?
To be honest, when he came in yesterday, I think he did it quite well. So
yeah, I agree.
10 minutes are not much, and in that moments that he had, he used to do in a good manner. And if he maybe gets some more minutes Saturday night, why not?
Okay, great. Well, this has been an enjoyable half an hour, but thank you particularly for your look back, your throwback to history books. Maybe at some point we're doing some special episodes where we look more in depth, and you can tell us a lot more from those times and maybe what it means for Leipzig football, and in contrast to other clubs that we have over here, including the first German champions, by the way. So thanks everyone for listening. If you like to get in touch with us, currently you can do this by email at talktous@rbleglobaltracks.com. On Twitter, we are rbleglobaltracks. And we'd love to hear from you. Thank you very much. Hope to hear you again. We're going to do our next recording early next week to have a preview of the Cologne match and look forward to Halloween's encounter with the Wolves. So the German Wolfspack, that is. I'm sorry. So yes, get well soon, Richard, and I'll probably see you Saturday. And everyone else, auf geht's, Leipziger Jungs.